everybody, and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a beginner's makeup starter kit guide situation. Basically, I'm going to run you through products where if you're just getting into makeup, I feel like this would be the best to include in your kit. I'm going to give you some specific product recommendations in addition to general product categories, because I know makeup can be a very convoluted, intricate space, and there's tons of products, and I myself love makeup. I've been using makeup, so I'm not going to recommend to you every single thing that I have in my collection. I just want to recommend to you the best things that I feel like you would need for a full face. If you're just getting started, you don't know where to begin, but you want a comprehensive guide and list, that is what this video is for. And additionally, I am going to link below corresponding videos for each category. So yeah, if you want to see all of my product recommendations / guide and some tips and tricks, don't forget to please subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell so you know when I post, and without further ado, let's go ahead and get on into it. All right, so first up, we have primers. Primers and moisturizers can be interchangeable depending on what your skin type is, if you're oily or if you're dry. Primers can have different benefits to them, but the idea is to prep your skin before makeup. You'd never want to apply foundation on bare skin unless it's a CC cream or a BB cream or a tinted moisturizer that has that added component built into it. But for a standard foundation, you should always lay something down, whether it be a moisturizer or a primer. So the one that I want to recommend that I feel like is the most all-encompassing in pretty much every way is the Ordinary High Adherence Silicone Primer. I've done a whole primer collection video, so if you want to see all of the different primers I have in my collection, I will leave that down below if you want a little bit more variety. But basically, I think this is a great start for anybody who wants to get into makeup, because not only is it so affordable, it's $5, it's cruelty-free, it's literally a high adherence silicone primer. So you get that gripping benefit and that pore smoothing benefit all in one. And usually primers are one or the other. They're usually either completely pore filling and mattifying, or they're marketed as something that's gripping that will make your makeup last. This is a great job at doing both. Even if you're dry, maybe apply moisturizer first and then go in with this. But I think it's really, really great. And by the way, I have most of these products on my face today, so you can literally see the finished result. But yes, this is a great thing to have in your kit. If you could only pick one primer, I would start with this. Then for foundation, I have a bunch of foundations, but going along with your skin type, evaluate if you're dry, you might want something that's more dewy, more natural looking, more moisturizing, something that touts itself as a dewy foundation. If you are oily like myself, then I would suggest going for a more matte finish foundation. Now, the two that I want to specifically recommend are both drugstore price. Now, not all of these products are going to be affordable, but if you want me to do an all affordable makeup video, let me know and I can definitely do that too. But I actually have both of these foundations on my face today because I did self-tan, so I am a little bit deeper than normal. But I have loved these for years. The first is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation in the shade Cream Beige. Now, I know Wet n Wild did come out with a more dewy foundation, which I don't have because I'm oily, but this was the original, and I have heard that it works great for dry skin. It's $5 to $6. You can get it at your drugstore. It has a spatula tip, and the shade range is pretty good. So I really love this because you do get a nice medium to full coverage. You get a satin finish. So it's not necessarily going to be a matte finish, but it's not dewy. So it's a great in between. So if you're someone who's unsure about your skin type, I would recommend going in with this guy because I think it is one of the most universal foundations at the drugstore that can, work for both skin types or all skin types. The second foundation I want to recommend is the LA Girl Pro Matte Foundation. If you know you're somebody with oily skin, this is a great foundation. Again, it's so affordable. It's $8.99 at Ulta. It's got a decent shade range, not the best, but it's got a decent shade range. I have the shade Light Tan right here, but I also like medium beige. Even if you're dry, if you moisturize really well and you prep really well, I have heard also that this works great for you. This is more matte and more full coverage than this, but it has a really beautiful suede-like finish. It blends out really nice. It's an HD foundation, long wear, medium to full coverage, which I completely agree. I went in with a few dots of this all over my face, and then just one pump of this, and I blended it all over my skin with a brush, and it just blends in so nicely every time. I truly believe this is a great universal foundation, but specifically if you're oily, this is a great place to start. Okay, and then for concealer, I would recommend getting two kinds of concealers, and that is only if you struggle with blemishes, with hyperpigmentation, with things that you actually want to conceal on your skin, which is a struggle that I have. But first and foremost, I feel like the most universal kind of concealer, like we all know, is to highlight under your eyes, highlight the center of your face. And I love the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. I have my spot concealing shade and I have a highlighting shade, but this is such good stuff. It's so creamy, blends out so nice. It's moisturizing, but it's not dewy. Like, it's just the perfect finish and is great on any skin type. This is a holy grail for me, for sure. And for the highlighting concealer, you should get a shade that's 1 to 2 shades lighter than your actual skin tone. So for example, I have like a medium skin tone, but for my highlighting shade, I will always get a light to light medium. So that way it just highlights the center of your face. And the whole purpose of that is to draw attention to the center of your face so it doesn't look super flat and like caked on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you want dimension added onto your face when you apply coverage. So that is the purpose of a highlighting concealer. You just highlight your T-zone. If you watch any of my like get ready with me's or my makeup tutorials, which they're all like in my catalog, if you just browse my channel, you will always see me going with a highlighting concealer. And then the second type of concealer that I alluded to is a spot concealing shade. Now, the purpose of this is to go in and target precise blemishes or areas that you want to target. Now, you might ask, like, why not just go in with foundation? And you totally could, but I'm somebody who likes to go in with less foundation just so I don't look super caked on, and then go in with spot coverage for where I specifically need it. So rather than going in with like 3 layers of foundation, go in with 1 layer, and then, you know, if I still have some redness peeking through, just take a spot concealer and then just go over the areas. And the concealer that I use today for spot concealing is the Milani Conceal and Perfect. I wanted to recommend this concealer too because it's kind of like the Tarte Shape Tape. It's a little bit different, but it's also something that I feel like could work for both oily and dry skin types. It's a satin finish, really buildable, really full coverage, but really, really nice. And it's got like a flat wand. I've also used this to highlight. I've also, you know, gotten in a lighter shade, but this is medium beige, and I used it to spot conceal, you know, around like my maskne or, you know, like various like places of hyperpigmentation, and it just blends out so smoothly. So this is a winner for sure. Okay, the next couple of things are powders. Now, I always like to go in with an under eye powder, but I recognize that's not like an essential. So I want to recommend either getting a pressed powder or a loose powder or both. And the pressed powder can be anything. Like, honestly, pressed powders are great if you're traveling especially, but the one that I specifically wanted to mention today is the ColourPop No Filter Sheer Pressed Powder, simply because this comes in a bunch of different shades. Now, this is great, especially if you're somebody who's on the go and you want to touch up, or maybe you don't even want to apply like a lot of powder at all or a lot of makeup, and you just want to go in and give you like a very light, you know, breezy coverage. That is a great benefit of a pressed powder. It's not necessarily a foundation powder, but this is great to set, to touch up. The fact that it's skin colored makes it almost pretty much guaranteed that you're not going to get flashback in photos. So this is just great all around because it's so compact. You know, you can travel with it, touch up with it. So I definitely wanted to mention this one. And then I would recommend a loose powder, like for your glamorous days. Like today I went in with this powder. This is a tried and true. This is the Beauty Bakerie Flower Powder. I use this almost every single time I do like a full glam makeup look. It's either this powder or my Thrive Cosmetics powder, but I would recommend a loose powder. And the only problem with loose powders is that they can get messy and have flashback. So you want to look for powders that specifically say no flashback. This one is a little bit of a thicker powder, but it sets your makeup so well. Like, you just look like you have a filter on your face. And I find that between powder, setting sprays, and primers, which all, you know, tout that they're going to make your makeup last longer, powders are really the make or break item. Like, I could forget a primer, forget a setting spray, but if I set my face with a powder, it'll still look good all day or all night long. And so, yes, I would recommend getting pressed powder or loose powder or both. They're slightly different. Like, I feel like, as I mentioned, this is more for your glam days, but yes, I think powders are absolutely essential. Even if you're dry, just apply less or don't go in for something that's super mattifying. These don't really claim to be mattifying. They're just setting powders, which I think there is a little bit of a difference. So yes, gotta get powder, you know, it's just, gotta have it. Okay, the next up for bronzer, I believe that everybody should have a bronzer. I feel like bronzer, if you're starting out with makeup and you're deciding between should I get a contour powder or a bronzer, I would definitely recommend getting a bronzer first and foremost, because even to this day, like, I didn't even go in with contour. I feel like bronzer, even though it's slightly different from a contour, it just is the most versatile because you can warm up your whole face and give structure at the same time. You can use it like as eyeshadow, as like nose contour. Even if you're doing a no makeup look, you just throw in a little bit of concealer, some bronzer, it'll automatically make your face look brought to life and also add to that dimension that I was alluding to earlier. Now, the one that I specifically want to recommend in this video is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Powder Bronzer in the shade, well, I have the shade Saddle, but she has a bunch of different shades. And the reason why I love this bronzer is because not only is the packaging really, really nice, but the formula is so creamy and it blends out so nicely. I actually did a whole bronzer collection video, which I will also link down below, where I show you all of my bronzers in my collection and I talk about things that I feel like are more advanced versus things that are more beginner. And this is definitely more beginner. I feel like it's so easy to work with, so easy to blend out. You never have to worry about a stamp on your face that you can't like blend out. Like, it's so nice. It's a bronzer I have on today. It just gives you a nice effortless wash of color. All of their undertones are really, really nice. It is a little bit more expensive. I believe it's like $28, but it's worth it. I think if you're a beginner and you want to get into bronzer, this is a really good one. Okay, something else I feel like you should have in your collection is blush. Now, blush I feel like is one of the most like, not basic products, but when you think about like even old school makeup, blush is like the thing. Like between bronzer, blush, and highlight, blush was always like, you know, the most like talked about. Essence makes some of the best blushes. They're so affordable. They have a bunch of different shades. Hey
Google, stop timer.
I have 3 shades right here. I have Satin Coral, which is this really pretty pink right here. I have Satin Love, which is my favorite. It's like a really pretty neutral shade. And then I have this matte touch blush in the shade Bury Me Up. Now, these are slightly different finishes. This is a matte finish and this is satin, but I love that this is like so versatile because it leaves you a little bit of a glow on your cheeks, not too much. I'm going to talk about it like an actual glowy blush. But if you're just getting into makeup, these are so foolproof. They're so affordable. They have so many different shades that work for so many different skin tones, and they're just so cute. Like, you know, it's like collect them all, Polly Pockets, right? But I love this formula because it's so easy to work with. They're so creamy and you really don't get a bad application anytime you use this formula. So I love that. Also, if you're into a more glowy blush, I don't think you need, if you're starting out, I don't think you need both. Like, I think the satin one is a great middle ground to start with. But if you're looking for a more glowy finish, the Milani Baked Blush is a beautiful formula. So, so nice. Sunset Passion is so pretty. Like, it just gives you a nice glow. And then obviously we have the cult favorite Luminoso, which is so talked about. It's, you know, like a really pretty light pink, and you can see the glow that these have. This is great if you just want a one and done product for your face. I always love these products for like no makeup looks. If I don't want to go in with bronzer or highlight, this is like my one and done. So I would recommend those as well. I actually went in today with Sunset Passion to give me a little bit of a glow before I went in with highlight, and you can always stop right there. If you're just getting into makeup and you don't want to fuss with like every single product, I love products like these that kind of give you like multiple benefits in one. Okay, for highlight, I have 2 specifically that I want to recommend. Different kinds of highlight. Let's start with the one I'm wearing on my face, which I spoke about in my 2020 yearly favorites, which I will link down below. This is the Milk Makeup Flex Highlighter, and this one is in the shade Lit. They have a couple of different highlights, but this is the champagne shade. It is so beautiful. It's the highlight I have on my face right now, and watch, I'm barely gonna put my finger in. Look at that glow. You may think like, oh my God, like, do I really need a highlight like this? I think highlight is so essential. It just makes your face like come to life. Like, it is gonna look weird. Like, if you're not gonna wear any makeup and you go in with a blinding highlight, it is gonna look a little bit unnatural, but this is great if you wanna do like a full glam look. And I wanna recommend this one in particular for like that beaming glow because it's so easy to blend. It's so soft. It's not glittery, but it just gives you that sheen like nobody's business. So I highly recommend this one. But I think like if you want like a more natural highlight, this is such a good product. This is the Essence Pure Nude Highlighter, and this is in the shade 10 Be My Highlight. They have a Be My Sunlight if you are deeper in complexion. It's glowy, but it's more of like a natural glow. You can also use this all over your face as kind of like a glow. If you are more dry and you want a more dewy finish, you can just take a little fluffy brush and just go over your face. I wouldn't do that because I'm oily, but to highlight your cheekbones, you can still get a really blinding finish with this guy, and so easy to use. You can just build it up. This is definitely very buildable. This is definitely more like, oh, I applied it and I'm good to go. So 2 different kinds, but I wanted to just like recommend both. But I definitely think if you are starting out in makeup and you want highlight because, you know, highlight is beautiful, it just makes your day brighter, literally, then I would go with one of those 2. Let's talk eyeshadow. I would recommend, if you're just starting out and you don't want to get so many products in one, get a palette that can give you neutral and colorful. So for example, these are two of my favorites that do just that. This is the one that I'm wearing on my eyes today. This is the Urban Decay Born to Run palette. So easy to travel with. You have a, oh, hello, that's my face. You have a mirror and you have a bunch of these gorgeous shades that you can do super neutral looks, but also super intense, glamorous looks today. Like I obviously have like a warm copper eye going on, so I use like this shade, this shade, this shade, this shade, this shade, this shade. Like I use a bunch of the browns, but on my lower lash line, I went in with this nice magenta called Hell Ride. And these shades are so pigmented. They're so beautiful and so creamy. I definitely think they're worth the money. And, you know, obviously it's a little bit more expensive.
I just dug into the shadow.
They're very soft, so be careful because I've already dug into two accidentally. And then also the Jaclyn Hill palette is so freaking good even to this day, and I've had this bad boy for years. I used this the other night. The shadows are still so pigmented, so rich, and so blendable. You can get so many different looks. I mean, neutral, colorful. Like this is just a go-to, like ride or die for me, like forever and ever. Sorry, I'm just like messily swatching, but you can get the idea. Like these are pigmented, and also this is a little bit more affordable than this. But of course, if you don't want to fuss with a whole palette, I would recommend getting these. These are the e.l.f. bite-sized palettes, and this is in the shade Cream and Sugar and Truffles. I talked about these in my yearly favorites. I think these are so amazing because they're so easy to travel with. I travel every single time I travel. Well, not really in the past year because of the panoramic that we're in. But these are really, really great because you can bring any eyeshadow palette and always get a neutral look and have these as your backbone. So if you want something neutral, you don't really want to fuss with a palette, but you want a few different neutral options, these are amazing, and they're $3 each. If you want to take your eyeshadow a step further and you want to go in with like a glitter topper, I mean, these shades that I recommend, if you get a palette that has different finishes like foils, metallics, shimmers, and mattes, you might not need to go in with something else, but I love a little addition of glitter here and there. Now, there are so many like the Stila liquid glitters, but I feel like those aren't necessarily beginner friendly because you have to fuss with them, then the dry down and the fallout, so it's not the most intuitive product in my opinion. I personally would recommend things like these single shadows, particularly the ColourPop Super Shock shadows. They have so many different amazing finishes, and a lot of them are in glitter, and they just add such a nice reflect to your lid. Like it's so easy, right? You just dunk your finger in, apply it all over your lid. Like anybody could do that, and it gives you such a beautiful finish. They have a bunch of different ones that I think are really, really amazing. But they're so creamy and they're so glittery and fun, and it just makes you so happy. So the ones I have, I Heart This, just to name a few: Birthday Cake, Birthday Girl, but also Deep Dive, Okay, etc. You can find some of these at Ulta or at ColourPop.com. The only downside I feel like with ColourPop products in general is that because they're always producing so many, I feel like their turnover of their inventory is pretty high. So what I'm recommending to you now, like these ones in particular, they might not be there forever, or maybe they're already gone. I don't really know. I apologize. But yeah, I have like a bunch in my drawer. I just think they're so amazing. And if you want to elevate your makeup game a little bit, again, it's not a necessity, especially if you have an eyeshadow palette with different finishes, but it is a nice to have and a fun to have. I made a video last year about all of my eyeshadow palettes. Obviously, my collection has expanded since then, but if you want to see me talk about like 90% of my palettes, then I will link that down below and you can check them out and all the different kinds and the shades and the benefits and, you know, the finishes and all that good stuff. Okay, next comes brows. And honestly, when I first got into makeup, I did not even fuss with brow pencil. So I would always recommend a good gel first and foremost. Now, the two that I feel like are the most beginner friendly / two of my favorites to this day are the NYX brow gel. This was actually like my first ever brow gel, so I can personally vouch for it. When I was a beginner, I use this all the time. This is great. I actually just rebought this one. This is in the shade Espresso. I love this because it has a really nice spoolie, but it imparts enough color and texture. Like it gives you a little bit of both. So if you're someone who doesn't really want to fill in your brows with a pencil, you just go through this and it's awesome. And if you're someone who wants more of like a fibery formula than something that's more like pigmented, I would suggest the Milk Makeup Kush brow gel. This is like my favorite brow gel of all time. This was in the shade Grind. It's what I have on my brows today. The one is obviously, as you can see, a little bit smaller than the NYX one, but it just gives you so much definition and texture to your brows. It really just adds those hair-like strokes amazing. Now, if you've been watching my videos, you know that's the brow pencil I'm about to recommend, because as soon as I started using this, it changed my mindset on brow pencils. I was like, okay, I can do anything. It's completely fine. I'd recommend the e.l.f. Instant Brow Lift. Now, these are $2. I have the shade Neutral Brown, Deep Brown. It's what I use on my brows today. It has a really durable spoolie at the end. It makes filling in your brows so fast and so easy. So yes, I mean, obviously I would say brow gels over brow pencils if you're getting started, because they are easier to work with. But if you're somebody who has maybe more sparse brows, or you want to really just try your hand at filling them in, this is a great pencil. And I will link my in-depth brow routine video down below so you can see how I fill in these bushes. All right, mascara. Mascara is an absolute essential for me. I feel like every makeup kit, you need a mascara. Even if you have lash extensions for your bottom lashes or whatever, like a mascara is absolutely necessary. And it is like one of my most favorite makeup products. So the one I specifically want to recommend is actually any Essence mascara. Essence mascaras are $4.99 at Ulta. You can't go wrong. They have so many different kinds. But my personal favorite is the Lashes of the Day Super Volume Mascara. It's what I use on my lower lashes. My lashes are very straight. I always have to curl my lashes, but this is such a good formula. It's so black, it's so volumizing, it's so thickening, but it's also very lengthening, and I personally love that. So I would recommend Essence mascaras in general. It's a no-brainer for a beginner makeup starter kit or anybody's makeup kit in general. Like, these are the bomb. Like, seriously, and I hope they're not discontinuing this, because I'll be so sad. This is my favorite mascara, and yeah, you need it. Now, in general, I love Kiss and Ardell lashes. Specifically Kiss lashes. I actually just went and bought a few more. I have the style Gala. I have Lacy, which is my all-time favorite, but I think they're discontinuing it. I just bought Tulle, and Teddy. The ones I'm currently wearing right now are chiffon, which you can see they're a little bit more spiky, and I feel like that's a little bit more flattering for my eye shape, because I do have hooded eyes. But I feel like lashes are not an absolute essential for a beginner, but if you do want glam, like, lashes are the way to elevate your makeup look. Like, if you're looking to go from like drab to like dramatic, lashes are the way to go. It can change your look. It changes the entire aesthetic. And I don't wear lashes every day. I wear lashes when I want to film videos or do certain makeup looks, or if I'm going out, but it's definitely not an everyday essential. So don't feel like you need them. But again, it's more of like a nice or fun to have. And I thought I would just recommend Kiss lashes. I mean, Ardell's are good too, but I personally like Kiss. There are Lash Couture is really nice, or like the Lash Couture Naked Drama, which is what Tulle is, or chiffon or lacy, where it gives you that 3D kind of effect, but not super like flat and one-dimensional. So yes, that is what I have on my eyes right now. All right, we have made it to the lips category. Now, I don't necessarily feel like lip liners are an essential in a beginner makeup starter kit, so I'm just gonna skip on over to like lipstick and lip gloss. I recommend first, right off the bat, at the very least, a nude lip, a red lip, and a gloss like topper-ish thing. Obviously, I have a bunch of different kinds of nudes. I will link my favorite nude lipsticks down below so you can see them swatched and, you know, my opinions on them. Right now, I am wearing the shade Colada by Tarte. It's a bullet lipstick. I think lipsticks are classic. They're obviously not going to be as transfer resistant and as matte as like a liquid lipstick, which I feel like, you know, wearing a mask, maybe you would want a liquid lipstick instead. But like I said, watch that video for all of my different favorite kinds. I break them down into categories of nude lipsticks, nude liquid lipsticks, and nude lip glosses. But yes, just shade wise, find the nude that works for your skin tone, because you can never go wrong with a nude. And then a red, I mean, you could go in with other bold colors, but reds are just so essential. I love the NYX Liquid Suede in the shade Kitten Heels. I love the ColourPop Ultra Satin Lip in the shade Lost. I love the ColourPop Lippy Stick in Juju Rouge. And there's different kinds of reds too, like the Too Faced Gingerbread, the Ofra Cosmetics Havana Nights, which is like a darker burgundy shade. The Bite Beauty Amuse Bouche lipstick in the shade Maple, which is my dog's name, is a beautiful red. There's so many different kinds of reds, but I would just recommend finding a red. Like, this is a true blue-based red, because you can never go wrong with a red. It is so flattering on everybody. It's essential in a makeup kit. Like, before you get any other kind of like fun lip color, definitely go for a red. And then glosses, I have a bunch of different glosses that are like colored and pigmented, but I would recommend going with a gloss that's more of a topper. So it's more versatile. You can go over your, you know, your liquid lipstick or your red lip or whatever with it. So a couple of my favorites are the ColourPop Ultra Glossy Lip in the shade Onboard. I love this formula. I love the Patrick Ta Major Glow Lip Shine in the shade She's Expensive. But I would suggest if you are just starting out and you don't really know what kind of gloss to get something that's like more clear than opaque with shimmer, because you can wear it alone or you can wear it on top of like any lip color and have it look flattering and beautiful. All right, and then last but not least, we have made it to setting spray. The only one I would recommend is the Morphe Continuous Setting Mist, because it's so good. The mist is so beautiful. It sets your makeup down no matter what kind of skin type you have. This is amazing. It's great for beginners too, because you're not going to get like fat droplets because you have that nice continuous mist. They do have a mattifying formula, but honestly, just get the original because like I said, it's the most versatile, and I personally have the mattifying one too, and I have oily skin, but I still love and prefer the OG. So yes, setting sprays are, I think, an essential, maybe not a super duper essential, but it does lock your makeup in and just keep it looking beautiful all day long. Okay, and then I guess the last category I want to talk about would be tools, right? So I'm going to link below my favorite brushes so you can see all of my favorite brushes like in the video, but definitely I would recommend makeup brushes, like a foundation brush, a concealer brush, all the brushes for the different categories, but also a good sponge. And I know beauty blenders are like all the rage, but honestly, the Juno & Co sponges I think are almost better. They're a microfiber sponge, so they're gonna feel more dry. They're not gonna soak up as much product as a beauty blender, and they're more affordable. So I would recommend getting a sponge too if you're looking for a place to start. The Juno & Co sponge is amazing if you don't want to shell out $20 for a beauty blender. But then also some other essentials like makeup wipes, which these are the ones from Walmart, are great for removing swatches, cleaning up mistakes, tweezers, an eyelash curler, which I always curl my eyelashes. If you have naturally curly lashes, maybe you don't need to worry about this, but I have straight lashes, so I have to curl my lashes every time I go in with mascara. So I get an eyelash curler, tweezers for your brow hairs. I personally apply falsies with my fingers, so I don't really use a tool for that. But yeah, like Q-tips and things like that to make your makeup application just be as precise as possible, or if you want to remove something, that's also good. I would also recommend getting a lash glue. My favorite is the Kiss Lash Couture Lash Glue. So just if you're thinking lashes, think the Kiss Lash Couture line for lash glue and falsies. Like Lash Couture, that's your way to go. And I would recommend getting a clear one because I just feel like it's the most versatile. If you're not going to go in with black eyeliner before, it's less messy. It's more foolproof than a black lash glue, so I would recommend getting a clear one. All right, everybody, and that was it for my rundown of my products that I would include in a makeup starter kit if you're a beginner or if you're someone who wants to really just get a deep dive. I hope these recommendations help make sense. If you have any questions or anything, leave them in the comments below. And like I mentioned throughout the video, I will link all of my corresponding videos that I have for, products and whatnot in categories. But yeah, these are all the products that I would recommend for anyone who wants to get into makeup, the categories at the very least. And I hope my tips and my tricks and my explanations kind of have helped you. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, please. And hopefully I will see you in my next one. Mwah! Bye.